Hello, Kate Allgood here, and today what I wanted to talk about was two big mistakes that athletes make and ways to fix them or address them so that you're able to perform and as well as reach kind of the goals and the vision that you have for yourself. So one of the first mistakes that athletes make is not connecting their future, their vision, to their present and looking really at the steps and the things that they need to do right here, right now, and fully commit to those steps in order to get to that bigger picture. But what I really wanted to look at was within that is the need to look at obstacles. So in order for us to get to where we're wanting to go, we have to look at the obstacles that could potentially get in our way for being able to get there. And a lot of the time people don't like looking at that. And it's very important because actually by looking at those obstacles and then making sure that we actually have high expectation to be able to overcome those obstacles actually gives us a boost in energy to then be able to overcome those obstacles. Energy is such an important thing for being able to get through the rough patches and the rough moments. And this is a technique called mental contrasting. And we know that when we do this mental contrasting, looking at the future, connecting it to the present, looking at the obstacles that could get in our way from getting us to our kind of future vision, and then looking at whether we have high or low expectations to overcome it. And if we have high expectations to be able to overcome those obstacles, it boosts that energy level. So that is one of the biggest things, is that you as an athlete, you need to take that time to really look at what obstacles kind of right here, right now, both within the situation as well as within yourself. And when you look at the situation, but especially when you look at yourself, you got to be very real. You got to be very honest with yourself and looking at your behaviors, your tendencies, the things that you do that could be getting in your way from reaching that ultimate vision. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anything big. It can be simple things like, are you getting the sleep that you know you need to get? Are you eating in the way you know you need to eat? Are you doing the meditation? Do you have ways to manage maybe some of your emotions, anxiety, frustration, anger, whatever it might be, to make sure that those things are not getting in your way from ultimately accomplishing what you're wanting to accomplish, and from being able to do the work, to focus, to have the confidence that you need, to have all these mental skills that you need in order to be able to perform. The second big mistake that athletes tend not to do is address those obstacles by actually making a plan around those obstacles and how they're going to deal with those obstacles if those obstacles do arise. It's what we call an if-then statement. And you look at, if X happens, then I will do Y. So for an example, so my sport that I played was ice hockey. And so an example for me would be, let's say, if my anxiety is getting the better of me or getting to a point where it's a little bit too much for what I need to be able to perform at my best, then I will find a quiet place, take some nice deep breaths, maybe 12 diaphragmatic breaths to reset myself, and then focus on some keys to my game that I know I need to focus on in order to perform at my best. So for me as an ice hockey player, those things might be moving my feet, keep my head on a swivel. If I do those two things, which are well within my control and are very simple, and just focus on those things, it allows a lot of other things to fall into place. And it helps me to stay focused on what I need to stay focused on, rather than all of the noise and all of the things that could happen that are outside of my control. So there you have it. There are two big mistakes that athletes tend to make: not looking at the obstacles, not connecting the future to the present, but then also not creating those plans around those obstacles so that when or if those obstacles arise, you're able to implement that strategy. And the reason it's so powerful to create that if-then statement, because if you do it in advance, when or if that obstacle does arise, the mind kind of has a blueprint, and so when it happens, the mind just automatically puts that plan into place. So something I highly suggest you guys do is to do both of those things and see what happens and notice how it benefits you moving forward.